Love your energy too. I adore you. I'm so thrilled to have you on the podcast to talk all about real and raw leadership and what it means and this incredible movement that you're spearheading, this global movement. And before we dig into that, yeah, to set up the context for everyone, I would love to hear more about your journey. Yeah, your journey, because I know you have such an interesting journey coming from corporate, then getting into this work. Why don't you share a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when people ask me about my journey, I have to say, which journey do you want? Because I have so many elements of it, but I'm going to give you the short version. So, been an entrepreneur for a decade, 11 years next year. Started in corporate. I still have a business in corporate. I do like corporate. It's just not my soul's passion, right? It's just not like my bigger purpose, but I have a love for it and it definitely has a place in my heart. So I have that business. I also have had a crystal business, which I'm now actually rebirthing with my best friend this year. So I'm super stoked about that as well. But
Yeah.
what happened in the most recent history is earlier this year, so 2024, I found myself very randomly in the coaching industry. Was never in it before, didn't really know anything about it, just kind of happened as it does. And I found myself in a bit of a tight spot mentally, if I'm being honest. I was all of the eggs in the Instagram basket. That was not something that I had really done in that way before. I was very quickly consuming a lot more than I was creating and finding myself stuck in comparison, stuck in feeling like everyone was doing better than me, like I was failing, I was inferior, what was wrong with me, why was everyone else succeeding and I wasn't? All of these narratives going on in the back of my mind. And yet, on the outside, what everyone saw was this fiery energy, right? I was going in really like double guns blazing, like fuck this, like this. It was really, really big ego energy, is what it was. If I'm being completely real and raw, it was very wounded feminine energy, and it was I don't feel good enough, so I'm gonna just try and make you believe that I am good enough. That's really what it was. And over a period of a few months, the pressure was just harder and harder and harder and harder. And it felt like, a pressure cooker and the steam's like coming out and it's like that lid, it just wants to pop. And I was like, I'm just gonna pop. I don't know how much more I can hold. And there was a moment where I was on holiday in Turkey with my girls, and I was on the phone to my mentor. There was hardly any signal, so I was leaning over the balcony trying to get reception in this place. Could hardly hear each other, right? Like it's cutting out every few minutes. But the feeling I will never forget, I had tears were streaming down my face, and I just said to her, I was like, I just don't know what to do anymore. I don't know why it's not working. I'm doing all the things, right? I'm showing up. I'm going live. I'm having collaborations. Like I'm doing all the right things. Why isn't it working? And that was the moment that everything changed because she said to me a question that is so obvious and yet so hard to answer. And she said, Claire, are you happy? Silence said it all. It was, of course, I'm not fucking happy. Like, I'm on the phone crying to you every week. Like, what a ridiculous question. But also, penny drop, right? Claire, you're not happy. Why? Why are you trying to force something that you're not even enjoying anyway? Because I thought the money was the answer, but I knew the money wasn't the answer because I'd seen money before and it still wasn't the answer then. It's not going to be the answer now. Obviously, money is great, but it has to come with fulfillment. It has to come with purpose or it doesn't mean anything. And I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And so that was the pivotal moment, the moment where I decided to just stop everything, stop trying to fit myself into this square peg that I knew that I was a star, right? I knew I was here to
Yeah.
be something different, and yet I was trying to force it. And so that was the turning point. That was where I came back from holiday, told my community, look, I've been away for a week, but a whole lot has changed. I'm going on this journey of deep self-exploration. I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know who I'm even going to be on the other side, but this is real, this is raw, and this is what I'm going through right now. And that was the moment that I went into the void, as the people in my world will know. And that was where the movement was born from.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot to condense
Yeah.
in like a short.
First, like, I love that you're bringing this topic to the podcast because this is such an invitation for everyone listening to, like, wow, when you don't feel that sense of inspiration, when you're coming from this forcing energy, which we've all felt as entrepreneurs at different stages of the journey, when this happens, like really looking inside, like, am I happy? Is this actually filling me up? So then what happens from here? So you go into the void, yeah, and then what comes? How does this movement birthed?
So the void was a very interesting journey for me. It ended up being about a month, but obviously I didn't know how long it would be when it started, and I was completely surrendered. Right at that moment, I was like, nothing can be worse than feeling like this for a day longer. So I don't even care how long it takes. If I'm here for 10 freaking years, I will do it, because after that, I know it's got to be better. Like that was the mindset that I was in, and it was like, I'm done. I'm surrendered. I'm here. Like, universe, just show me what I'm missing. So the first thing that I think is so important is that act of surrender, because I've always been a control freak. I've always been like, I need to have everything in place. I need a strategy. I need a plan. I need to know the next step. I need to know how it's all going to unfold. And I had to let all that go. I had to say, I don't even know who I am anymore, let alone what I'm here to do. And that was a big change for me, to have to identify and to change my identity around as well, who I even was. So that was the first step. And then it really became like a day by day thing, right? Like I was living just day by day, like waking up, what do I want to do today? And some days it would be literally crying in bed all day. Other days it would be going for a walk in nature. Other days it would be like rage, right? Like sacred rage, like throwing things like
I'd like to
around
see
my
that.
bedroom, like drawing on myself with like red lipstick, like with all of these emotions and feelings that I had, like naked photo shoots because I felt so exposed and so vulnerable, and just like so much exploration. That's really what it was. It was a journey of exploration to find. I forgot actually until I just said that. But I even did this Telegram community called Finding Clare through this period, because I just wanted to take people on this journey with me. And that's what it was. It was finding who I was. And that just was a process that I had to go through. But there was one moment towards the end, so about 3 weeks in, and I remember it vividly. I was sat on the edge of my bed, looking into my mirror in front of me, and I was trying to wipe off all this red lipstick that I had written all over myself. And a lot of people in my world will know that iconic photo now. That
I
I,
know that
yeah,
photo.
yeah, yeah. Getting that off was a bitch. So I was sat there with like makeup wipes, right? Like trying to get this red lipstick off of me, like looking at the mirror in front of me. And there was just this penny drop as I was like rubbing off. One of the words was raw. I think it was on my forehead. And I was like wiping it off. And, you know, where it came from, I don't know, universe, spirit, God divine, whatever. But it just was like real and raw. This is what you're being. This is like the journey that you're on now. And this is what the industry needs. It needs to know that this is normal, that this is human, that this is okay to feel at that moment, right? It was like a breakdown. It was like, to feel this is okay, but over time that evolved, and it's like to feel anything is okay. Like whatever it is that we're feeling is okay and normal and human, and that's what we should be sharing. But in that moment, yeah, it was just the it was given to me. It was just a download, whatever you want to call it, and that was the moment. I never questioned it. It just landed, and I was like, yeah, this is it.
Mhm.
This is what I've been searching for all along, but I couldn't find it with my head. I had to wait till I'd lived the experience to be given it.
Mm. What I think is so powerful about this story, Claire, is first, I love when you speak to surrender. Yeah,
Mm.
and releasing that control, which is such a hard thing for myself included, for the entire world, given our conditioning. And it's it's interesting because how I relate it to what I'm experiencing is for me, it's also seeing the bigger plan. Yeah. Like you say, God, source, divine, however you want to speak to it, universe, right? It's letting that bigger plan be birthed through us. And if we don't surrender like you did, it's hard to actually hear that inner voice and hear that voice of God, of truth. And I love you're such an embodiment of that because I love that it takes a lot of rawness and realness. This is why I say embodiment to actually bring people on the journey of reinventing self. That's deeply vulnerable to reinvent self. And when you're in this space where you don't fully know yet where you're going, yeah, to bring people and let them see that side of you is so powerful. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I want to give you so much honor for that.
Thank you. No, I truly believe that real time sharing is the most empowering thing that we can give anyone. Like you said, to take them on that journey with us before we know the outcome, before we've learned the lesson, before we even know where it's going to take us, to say, look, I'm navigating this. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I know that I've got me and it will pan out how it's meant to. And I want to bring you on this journey with me because this is real leadership. Like showing you how I lead myself. That is the epitome of what leadership is. And that for me is, yeah, it's just like it's everything that I think leadership should and needs to be.
I want to dig into this topic more because it's such a powerful topic. Truly, you are reinventing a paradigm around leadership, which, yeah, ooh, it gives me chills, gives me such excitement. And you said something that I want to just really dig into for the audience to let that land, as you said. I'm showing people how I'm leading myself through it. Yeah. And there's a difference there. And I know you've spoken about it in your content, right? There's a difference of if I'm going to lead, I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. I'm not leading from a place of I'm going to be vulnerable, but I don't have any idea of what I'm doing or any thoughts of what I'm doing, right? I'm still reflecting in the process. I have deep consciousness about the direction I'm going and I'm sharing it.
Yeah.
Talk to us about, yeah. What else? What does leadership truly mean to you? Yeah.
Leadership is it's an interesting way that you phrase that. So yeah, leadership is navigating life, right? Because we are all leaders in our own way. We're all living a life that none of us have a blueprint to. None of us have a roadmap. None of us know what we don't know. We only know what we've experienced and what we've learned so far. So tomorrow is a new day for every single one of us. And to share how we each individually navigate that next day. And
Mm.
especially when we are role models and mentors and leaders in that regard, how we ourselves grow and stretch our own edges and push our own boundaries and, push out of our comfort zones to share that really is leadership because it's not saying this is how I've done it. This is what I did. I'm now the other side and I'm going to show you XYZ how I got here. It's saying, actually, I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to do it. And come with me because I know that I've got the codes, I've got the power, I've got the tools and the skills to bring you with me because that's what a leader is, right? It's side by side. It's not in front of, it's not on top of, it's side
Mm.
by freaking side. It's not a hierarchy. And so when we say that to people and we bring them with us, if they stumble, well, that's okay. I've got you, right? Like I'm right here with you. I've got you. If we stumble, we're able to get ourselves back up. And this is what leadership is. And I think, the online space in the industry, it's just got so kind of cloaked in all of these smoke and these mirrors that we've lost a human and we've
Yeah.
lost the reality as to what success and entrepreneurialism and even being in business in any regard is. And this is real life for all of us. And that's what we need to start sharing more of.
You're truly destigmatizing, yeah, challenge, like life challenge, the crunchiness of life. How do you, yeah, I'm curious of your inner process. And for people listening who are like, yes, I really want to step into my leadership in this way and embody this. How do you navigate from a mindset standpoint? Yeah, how do you navigate this space of like, I'm going to let people into my world. I'm going to share vulnerably. I'm going to stretch myself. I'm going to do uncomfortable things. I'm going to get on stages. I'm going to put on these events, right? I'm going to bring all these entrepreneurs and CEOs and powerful people to your events. Like, what empowers you to stretch yourself in these ways? Yeah.
To be truly honest, there's probably a few things. So, the first thing I would say is that I've always had a deep inner knowing that I was meant for big things. And I say that in the least egotistical way that can come across because I've just always felt it. I've just
Yeah.
always felt that that's something that I'm here to do. I've never known what exactly, but I just knew it was meant to be big. It was meant to be transformative. It was meant to be kind of inspirational in that way. So
What are you,
there's
an
that.
Aquarius?
No, I'm a Virgo.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
Aquarius.
yeah. But I've always had that innate inner knowing. So I think the first thing is you have to have that inner knowing. Because if you don't have that calling, and that almost, I'm very careful with the word delusional because I think it gets thrown around a lot and it can be taken out of context, but a lot of people would think that it's delusional. So if you have that belief in yourself that, it's like a magnet. You can feel the pull. You can't describe it to anyone. You can't really make it make sense. It's just something that you feel. So the first thing is you have to feel that. I truly believe it. If you don't feel it, it's not meant for you, and that's okay. Like we're all meant for different things. So firstly, there's that not making it mean something that it doesn't and just allowing it to be what it should be. So if you have that pull, then I would say that's the first step because you have to know that. And I have that pull. I have that inner knowing. I have that undeniable magnetic pull towards something big. And I can't fight that. I can't, it's like I've had businesses, I've had financial success, but unless I'm doing something deeply fulfilling, there's still a hole
Yeah.
and nothing fills it. And
Hmm.
that's something that you constantly want to fill. And that's what I was always searching for. So firstly, there's that when I have those bad days, which we all do, we're all humans, I tap back into that and I say, that this is what you're meant for. This is an edge. This is feeling stretchy. It's feeling vulnerable, but that means that it's a next level, that it's another timeline that you're stepping into. That's the first thing. The second thing is mentorship. I mean, honestly, my mentor that I work with has been absolutely pivotal for me this year. Had I not been working with her, I'm sure I would have got here, but God knows how long it would have taken me. God knows how many more lessons I would have had along the way that I had to figure
Hmm.
out myself.
Yeah.
Mentorship is something when you find the right mentor. I mean, there are a lot of people that I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but when you find the right one for
Good night.
you, just life changing, in all honesty. And then, is there another thing? I mean, I can't think of another thing. Mentorship and the inner knowing is really what gets me through.
Yeah. I love that so much. And I love what you speak to with this inner knowing, this pull, because this is the power of also slowing down and reflection. Like you took that month off. This is how we really tune into what is our dharma, what is that pull. And I love how you serve it up like there is no right or wrong. Some people know. I feel that too, something big, right? Big groups of people. Not everyone has that. And when you feel something, other people won't understand it until people don't understand it until they see the success in their mind that they envision you to have to prove to them that, okay, that makes sense, that path. And it
Yes.
validates for everyone listening. Like when we feel that path, we don't have to always have the answer, but if you feel that knowing, you feel that pull, follow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's power
100%.
there. Yeah, and then the synchronicities will just keep aligning. And that's something that's been a process for me in learning in my connection to source, to God, to the bigger plan is also knowing and trusting that when that path, like when it clicks with God's plan, because sometimes we can veer off and it can take us longer to get there. Yeah, when it truly clicks, everything just starts coming.
Mm, yeah, 100%. And that's exactly what happened. So yeah, the Real and the Raw Leaders movement was born. A week later, I had the idea of the Dare to Share challenge. And from that moment, it's really never stopped. It's
Talk,
just, it's
talk about
just
the
like
challenge. You and
grown.
me on the challenge. I would love for you to share a bit about the challenge, how you
Oh,
organized it. Yeah, it's so interesting.
yeah, so the Dare to Share challenge, that was the very first thing that I did with the Rio and the Raw Leaders movement. And again, it was just given to me. And I knew it was right because exactly like you were just saying, Nicola, like when you're in alignment with like, the universe, God's plan, everything just is so easy. And within like the weekend, I think I had the idea on a Friday because I wanted to start it on the 1st of June. And I think the 1st of June was a Monday. It was like really close timing. And over the weekend, I booked 30 incredible leaders to come on this challenge to dare to share. Because I was like, this is what I've done, right? I've dared to share all of it. Like, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, the messy middle, all of it and everything and even more. And I knew that I felt a sense of liberation that I had never felt before. And I also knew that my audience felt more connected to me than they had ever felt before. And I was
Mhm.
attracting new people into my world that were just like, wow, like I've never seen content like this before. I've never
Mhm.
felt something like this before from a leader. This is incredible. This is different. Like, what is it that you're doing? And so, yeah, the Dead Share Challenge just grew really quickly, if I'm honest, that first month. And it was like a 15-minute thing that we did on Instagram to start with, Instagram series, where women, yeah, it was all women would come on. I would ask them 3 questions. And the big one was, what will you dare to share with us? And the idea was that they stretched their own vulnerability. So they would share things that they've never shared before, didn't have to be to do with business, right? This was about showcasing the human behind the perception, which is one of my taglines. It's like, we know that you're great at business, but who are you? Like, what is it that you stand for? Like, show us into your world, remove the walls, like, pull back the curtains. Like, who are you? We want to feel you. And yeah, that's where it began.
It's so powerful, this work that you're doing, because you're really like, you are, I love this, you're illuminating the human behind the perception,
Yeah.
as you say, yeah. And how I see it, this movement, and I'm curious if anything comes from you, but from my perspective, I'm like, you're really teaching humanity and shaping the future of leaders, the future
Yeah.
leaders of today by leading in a way that touches human to human. Like, this is how we move people, this is how we inspire people and impact people on an emotional level.
Yeah, and that is for me what it's all about, right? Like our generation, yeah, great. The more leaders that I can get within our generation to
Mhm.
show they're human and to step into this paradigm, great. But really, the true legacy is in the generations to come. And I have 2 daughters. I don't know
Mm.
what will happen with our lineage, but at least even for them, I want them to go online or to see people that they look up to and to see themselves in them, to feel
Mhm.
like they're relatable, not to pedestal them, not to be like, oh, but they've done this, it's all great for them. Like, because they see the human, they see what they're sharing, they see the real life that those people are living, and they see what it takes for them to continue to live that life. Because, you know, we have this perception of once you achieve success, whatever that looks like to you, it's all smooth sailing from there. And it's like, it doesn't work like that, right? Like, we all have seasons, we all have ebbs and flows. That is the journey. And so that's what we need to share more of. And yeah, for me, it's about the generations to come and
Mhm.
really, truly empowerment of its most powerful kind.
Mhm. It's even like as I'm receiving you, like it's still, I still need more of that. Like, wow, because it's really, it's deconditioning this
Yeah.
societal construct around us only showing the light and not
Mm.
disfavoring the dark. And when you talk about these seasons, really, it's welcoming the whole human being.
Exactly that, because a lot of people will say, oh, but like then it's all doom and gloom, right? And it's like, that's not what this is about. It's not about like crying every day and, you know, being
Mhm.
like, oh my God, like I'm in a shit time. But, you know, it's not about that. Yes, it can be. If that's true to you in that moment, absolutely fucking share it, right? It's real. Share it. If you decide, share it, share it. But the movement itself is about the 360 degrees. It's about the full picture. Like, yes, we want the successes, we want the highs, we want those stories because they show us what's possible, but they don't mean anything if we don't see the rest. So it's about pulling back the entire curtains so we see all of it, because that really is the journey. That's the reality.
Yeah. And you're really empowering everyone. Empowerment. You're really empowering everyone to
Exactly.
honor their journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to because, ooh, I loved, when you had me on the Dare to Share and sharing something stretchy, something that was going on in my life. And I said to myself, wow, I need to have Claire on the Divine Union podcast to share about this powerful movement that's so inspiring that she's built and continues to build. And I also want to feel into if you have anything that's like, ooh, a little bit crunchy right now that you're working through, that you're
Ooh.
leading yourself through. Like, I would love to hear more of your story because every story that you have is so interesting and I think it could be really valuable for the audience here. If there's yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's not that I haven't shared it because I am the embodiment of what I teach, right? Like I walk the walk because so I share everything that I feel. So I can't give you an exclusive because it's all out there already.
That's okay. That's okay. We're still here
But
for it.
but yeah, no, the thing I'm really struggling with navigating at the moment, if I'm being really honest, is my in-person event. It's really stretchy for me for a number of reasons. So, firstly, I've never done one before. All of my events have been online. So there's all of the fear of what if I can't fill the room? What if people aren't going to turn up on the day? How am I going to sell tickets when all of my people are in bloody America? Like I don't have a UK based audience. So I've got all of these fears going on in the back of my mind. I am, however, counteracting them. So when I hear them come up, they come up, I allow them to come up because that's normal, right? It's normal, it's human, it means that I'm pushing an edge. But what I do is I then flip it and I'm like, but I've already sold tickets. I've already got speakers booked. I'm looking at a venue next week. If it was a worst case scenario and no one fucking came, I'm gonna make content there all day with the speakers, right? Like I've got like you know, so I allow myself to kind of almost play a game in my mind as to okay, well, you want to play that game if it goes all tits up, like, well, then what? Okay, well, then we make it like something different, you know, a different experience that might not have been what we wanted, but it was always what it was meant to be. So, this is an edge that I am really pushing. I finally said that I'm going to do it because I've been wanting to do it for years. And I was just like, I just got to put a date. I just got to put a date and just, it's
Mhm.
done. Right? 1st of June, 1st of June. It's happening. It's out there. The tickets are on for sale. It's on the website. The speakers are booked. Like, be there.
We'll put a
If
link.
not, I'll be there on my own.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of fears coming up around it. And I'm just really having to just trust, if I'm honest, to just trust that It's going to be what it's going to be. No matter what I do, no matter how much I push, it's going to be what it's going to be. And so, what's the point in me feeling stressed, in me feeling worked up or frustrated or anxious or, fearful? Like, I'm not saying I don't feel those things, but this is what's going on in my mind, right? And so, it's having that inner dialogue of, you can't control the outcome. You can't control the outcome. You just have to do your bit. Like, you have to promote it, you have to be excited about it, you have to share and shout about it. But then it's up to the universe and it's up to the people. And that, even as I'm talking to you now, Nicola, it's like I have to give myself my own advice. And it's very easy to give advice to other people, but to take it is sometimes harder. So it's that whole surrender again. It's trust, surrender, and knowing that whatever happens, it's not a failure, right? Even if no one turned up, it's not a failure. It's just what it was meant to be. And I needed that lesson.
Yeah. Wow, I love this so much. And I'm learning so much through you sharing your experience. Yeah, because what is so powerful about this, you're truly embodying what we're speaking about here, which I'm so excited about. You can hear it in my voice now. Is like, oof, first, like you speaking to playing with alternate scenarios and like the power of that just to release some tension around it. Okay, what's the worst case? Wow, I film a shit ton of content with all this amazing speakers I have. Yeah, worst case, obviously that's not going to happen. Yeah, but who cares if it does, right? And it's like you have solutions. So, and then the second thing that I'm hearing you speak to, which is so relevant for me in my own life as well. Yeah, all of us entrepreneurs, when I do scary things, when I do my launches and same thing, who's going to show up? How many people is, what if no one does? Yeah, I'm pivoting doing a shift in my career. Yeah, bringing on new skill sets here and like what comes with that. And I love what you're speaking to when we really allow ourselves to surrender to God's plan. It takes the pressure off us. Then it sees us like, let me see this through God's eyes. And if it doesn't pan out in the way that it's meant to, He's grooming me for something bigger. Yeah, He's grooming me to be able to withstand and hold more tension, discomfort. Yeah, so it really is what is the powerful lesson and nugget in every single situation. I love this so much.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I said to my mentor last week, it was one of our closing calls before the end of the year. And it's funny because the past like 4 months, I've been so high with everything. Like I've been a little bit tapped out because I've just been on this like roller coaster whirlwind. And I went in last week and I was like, I'm actually struggling a bit. I'm feeling the pressure again. And I feel I and she asked what the pressure was, right? And I had to dig into it a little bit. And she said, is it like burnout pressure or is it something else? I was like, it's not burnout pressure. It's more the pressure of letting people down. And what
Mm.
I mean by that is, for example, my Legends Summit that I have coming up. So I'm getting really real and raw with you all here and sharing it all because that's what I do. So I have a Legends Summit coming up in March. I have 40 speakers who have all paid to be on that stage and speak, virtual stage. And the pressure I feel as the creator and the space holder of that event is I need to have an audience there for those speakers to be heard because I've trained them. I've got TEDx speakers who I've trained, like it's crazy. And they're speaking with a raw framework and they're getting deep and vulnerable. And it's like, yes, this is amazing, but what if no one comes? What if no one turns up? Like that's the fear in my mind. But again, what I've had to do is I've had to release that. And she said to me, my mentor was like, you have to remember there are things you can control and things you can't control. It's like my lesson this year. I was like, I know, but I still feel I don't want to let people down, you know? And she said,
Yeah.
this was something really prominent for me that she said, Claire, everyone that pays you knows what they're paying for, right? Like you're not promising hundreds of people watching their talks They're paying to be part of your movement. And that was like another penny drop. And I was like, like that release. And of course, that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop trying to get people to watch it live and all that stuff. Of course, I will. But also, I feel this sense of it will be what it's meant to be. And I can do my bit, but there's no point in burning myself out with like this what's the right word, almost like martyring, like this whole like it needs to be, it needs to be, it needs to be, and it,
Yeah.
you can't grow from that energy anyway. And so yeah, that was something else that I've had to really take on board, let go, and tap into that trust once again.
Hmm. I love that insight from your mentor because it's so powerful. Like they're paying to be part of a movement. And also what I'm hearing come through too, for me at least, is this community element of like, we don't have to put it all on our shoulders, but you also have the community, you have the speakers, it's all of these people that impact. And also, another element and layer that we're bringing to this conversation, which is powerful, is again, we are illuminating because I'm in a business mastermind, Shoshana Raven's Vortex. Yeah, we met through this field, and how many entrepreneurs who make thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars also have these fears, also have
All of us, all of
launches
us.
that have no one that shows up. And this is not something that is spoken about publicly as often as it should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
And so this is so powerful for everyone listening. Yeah, and healing for me. I got to go back and re-listen to this, because this is really showing the the challenges of entrepreneurship, how much it stretches you, how much of a spiritual journey it really is.
Yeah. And it's not because we're like martyrs, right? It's not like we're here saying, oh, boo-hoo me. It's just that what I believe is if we don't share that, if we don't share the challenges, if we don't share the doubts and the fears and the imposter syndrome, we're actually doing a huge disservice to the people who watch us lead. Because then when they feel those things and they're like, oh, but she
Mm.
doesn't get that. You do. You're just not showing it. You're not sharing it. And therefore, they've now counted themselves out. They've said, well, I'm a write off. I can't do it because I'm riddled with imposter syndrome. I could never be that person because they don't realize that you're riddled with imposter syndrome. You're just choosing to move through the fear anyway. So if you
Mm.
actually shared that and you said, look, I'm like fucking, I feel like a fraud. I feel like I'm well out of my league. But you know what? I'm going to keep going. And that is the biggest permission slip. That is like the green light. That is like someone watching you being like, oh, like she's just like me. So I can do it. I can do it. And that's what mentorship is all about, right? Empowerment.
Wow. Yes. You are uplifting humanity and truly bridging humanity instead of a place of separation, but it's really letting us see the mirrors that we all truly are.
Yeah.
So beautiful. I love this conversation. Talk to me about it. I always love to ask guests this as we near a close. Yeah, I love to know, Claire, how does this relate for you to divine union? When you think about inner union with self, sacred union in partnership, oneness with the cosmos and all that is, this concept of real and raw leaders, how does that tie for you?
Oh, do you know, so much has come up for me when you just said that. So the first thing that came up was like light and dark, because it's everything has an opposite, right? Like it's the universal law. Like everything has to have balance. Everything has to have an opposite. And so again, we come back to embracing it all. It's none of it's good, none of it's bad. It's all just is. And when we really realize that and we take off like these words of shame and fear and, authority and credibility, and we just see it for what it is, the human experience, and we share that from a place of oneness, then that's really being in the most divine unity that you could possibly be, because you're just saying, this is all of me, right? Like,
Mhm.
this is the one, this is the wholeness, this is the unity that we all are. And by sharing all of that, you enable people to connect with all of that, because I just say this one last thing because this has just come up for me now. When people only talk about the success and they only talk about the highs and they only talk about the breakthroughs, the people who are watching you who haven't experienced that yet, they cannot relate because they haven't seen it and they're looking for evidence in you that is possible for them. And so when you share that oneness and that whole human, that's the bit that they connect with because they have experienced that because they're freaking human as well. And so what you're doing right then is you're giving them a chance. You're giving them a chance to bet on themselves and to say, you know what? I can do it because I can see myself in her and she's doing it. And that divine union, all of it is just like the whole, just that's it. End of sentence. Like the whole.
Mic drop. I don't even want to respond to that. I want to let that land for everybody because that was so profound, so beautifully said. Yeah. Deep soul, you are, Claire. Okay. Where can everyone find out more about you and this incredible work that you do?
Oh, so my platforms have kind of been changing a bit recently. So I've actually been hanging out more on Facebook, which is
Mhm.
just Clare Garner, because I think you can just get deeper on Facebook. I'm
Mhm.
still on Instagram, so if you want to hit me up in a DM on Instagram, feel free, Clare Garner Official. Or if you're interested in speaking or learning about the raw messaging framework or coming to attend any of the events, then phoenix-rise.co.uk is the place to go.
Oh, beautiful. And I'll put all this in the show notes as well. Yeah, so people can find you easily, join your
Make
events.
sure to
They're
come
so
to my event
incredible.
so I'm not there just doing content all day.
Right. I like that. I like that. We're holding you all to it here, okay? Yep, we promise. We promise we will. I would love to. And it's been such an absolute pleasure, Claire. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Divine Union podcast.
Thank you.